Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. This one's going to be for volume 13, which means that we start off a brand new 3-in-1 edition. This is volumes 13 to 15, but we're only covering 13 today. Yeah, there's the back, there's the spine. So yeah. Once again, I have all of part 1 of Naruto in these 3-in-1s, and then for Shippuden, the second half, I do have all of the individual volumes. So, I think it should be a bit more fun when we get to the individual volumes. I'm not like just doing like a third of a book. I'm just covering one full book. But yeah, volume 13 is called The Chunin Exam Concluded. There's our kind of cover image of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. And yeah, we cover another 9 chapters, chapter 109 to 117, Tree Leaves Dancing, At Long Last, Sasuke versus Gaara, Sasuke's Taijutsu, The Reason He Was Late, Violent Assault, The Chunin Exam Concluded, Operation Destroy Konoha, and The Imparted Mission. Overall, a solid volume. I was expecting a little bit more, I think, from the manga, because this is a fairly exciting part of the anime. I think part of that is just because the aspects of the Sasuke Gaara fight are so very similar to the Rock Lee Gaara fight that he didn't want to just do it the same way, just with a different character. So he kind of just had it be more like characters reacting to the fact that Sasuke has kind of really fast taijutsu now, like Lee, and that like Sasuke in a month has basically surpassed what Lee has taken years to do. Like that was more the focus of the early parts of the fight before the Chidori reveal. So I don't think the Sasuke Gaara fight had as much impact. Obviously the main focus after that is then on like what's really going on with Gaara, referencing what he said to Shikamaru and Naruto in the hospital and stuff like that, and then transitioning into the start of the attack on Konoha by Orochimaru, which is quite interesting. I think it sets up the next few volumes to be a lot more interesting. It's just based on the anime, I expected this to be a little more, a little better, I think, in the manga than it actually turned out to be. So where we start is with the immediate aftermath of Shikamaru's victory over Temari. And this is one part I actually do really like. It's just a lot of the characters reflecting on this seemingly shocking thing that Shikamaru just did. He had Temari beat, he had her in the Shadow of Possession Jutsu, and he was the one who quit despite being in control of the match. Temari's shocked, Asuma, everyone is a bit shocked. But the main contrast that we get here is just between a lot of Naruto's kind of classmates who are just like, what were you doing? Like, that was so stupid to just like quit the fight there. And then a lot of the older, characters, Kurenai, Asuma, and then some of the other, Chunins, just reflecting that, okay, he gave up a little too quickly, but the fact that he did something very different than like all of the other competitors is actually something notable, because the one thing Naruto and Neji didn't do is that they put everything on the line. They pushed themselves to the limit. Like that fight ended because one of them was knocked out. Naruto ultimately had a lot of energy left, and that surprised everyone, but they're not the two characters most suited to kind of leadership, whereas a lot of people actually somewhat respect the decision that Shikamaru made to be just like the fact that in the middle of a heated battle he could just coolly realize that he needed to retreat. If he was in command of an actual mission, he would have won that one, because even if he was kind of tired, he would have had his squad mates to back them up, and that him trapping a person like that would have meant victory for his squad. So that Shikamaru has got the most important quality of all, the disposition of a natural leader. And this is really making him stand out compared to every other character. Like, more so than Sasuke, more so than Gaara even. The fact that right now Shikamaru is the character most, worthy to be a leader. So, like, this is the first character after a fight that they've really referenced the idea that this person could be a Chunin. Like they celebrated Naruto because it was a big shock that he won, but for the most part they never said, "Oh, he's going to make a Chunin straight away." They were just, surprised by his progress. The same with like all of the other fights up to now. Really, like no one has really been getting a lot of praise as like, "Oh, this one's going to be definitely made into a Chunin because of this." But yeah, just establishing the Shikamaru of all characters, the lazy guy is the one who's most suited. It's really interesting. But yeah, then Lee and Guy show up, and obviously we're seeing Lee in a little bit better mood here. Still has a lot of bandages, but he looks a little bit better. He's walking around, still injured, and I like the focus that they give Lee early on here because you see him arrive late. Like the only match left to go is Gaara versus Sasuke, and so he's like, "What about Naruto and Neji's battle?" And they inform him that surprisingly Naruto won. And so while Lee is injured and may potentially never fight again, he's finding out that Naruto defeated Neji, and like Sasuke, as we see in a couple of minutes, has effectively surpassed him almost at taijutsu. So you see all these people progressing, whereas he's kind of been left behind, and you see the amount of hard work that he's going to need to go through. But in this case, he just has to recover to even attempt to do all of that. And yeah, you just see Gaara very eager to get into the fight. And finally, after a good few volumes of being absent, like it's been quite a while actually when you think about it, Sasuke and Kakashi return, and it's a really cool scene. It's actually really built up quite well here. You just get 2 whole pages of just like leaves blowing as they arrive, and just shocked reactions, and they just like arrive looking like really cool. Probably, this is probably the best image I think in the entire volume. It's probably going to be my award for the best kind of image from the volume. But yeah, they arrive and it's all cool. Like it's not like we're not late or anything, are we? Cool entrance and stuff like that. And it's a slow build. It's meant to be a big thing that they're here, and okay, the fight is about to happen, and there's just a lot of build up that like everyone's getting excited for this. The last of the Uchiha against the kind of the best ninja in the sand, and just huge impact here. Sasuke is fighting that sand ninja Gaara, whom I was powerless against, and Naruto won against Neji, whom I've always wanted to defeat. And you get a big moment from Lee where it's just like, why am I so jealous? And Guy is looking at Lee like he understands what's happening here, seeing all of his kind of rivals develop so quickly while he's out of action. It's very interesting. While that's happening, we see Kabuto obviously still behind the Anbu mask, kind of monitoring things. The Kazekage is constantly looking at the Hokage, and there's a lot of kind of tension going on as this match begins. And then as Gaara's walking down to the ring, Naruto and Shikamaru are walking back to the stands, and obviously they encounter Gaara, who gets confronted by people who are trying to kind of rig the matches so that Gaara won't win. And he just kills these 2 guys as Naruto and Naruto and Shikamaru watch on, and it's a very kind of bloody scene once again. And they've very much been, of course, setting up Gaara as that type of character. The whole, flashback thing that we got there about how his only goal in life, the reason he lives, is to kill people. That's the only thing that justifies his existence, being able to kill people. A nice emotional moment from Sakura, actually, that Kakashi just kind of asks her, I'm sorry we didn't keep in touch, I bet you were worried. And Ino's basically prepared for Sakura to just kind of blow up at Kakashi, like she's kind of done in the past before, but she's very kind of subdued and just like, it's alright, okay. She then asks about, that mark on Sasuke's neck, it's still, and Kakashi says it's nothing to worry about. And they don't really reference it at all just yet, but it's just a nice moment to show that Sakura does really care about Sasuke, and she's trying not to be overly concerned here, but she really is. As the fight eventually begins, and like immediately you see that Gaara is, he mentions his mother straight off the bat, and like there's a really interesting way to do the text here to get across that he says it in like a very creepy way. And he's got that kind of bloodlust back that like he got in the Forest of Death, and He's getting super worked up. He eventually kind of calms down once the match like properly begins, but you know, a lot of the action here. I don't think this is Kishimoto's best work in terms of action scenes, just because he's trying to at the same time portray the speed of Sasuke's taijutsu, but also the defense of Gaara's sand, and a lot of it tends to not work out the best because I think it's one of those ones where you really need to see it in motion to really get what's going on. Otherwise, it just looks like Sasuke's flying around the place, and the sense of motion doesn't really feel like that great. I think so. It's one of those ones where it's meant to be a really big fight, but it doesn't feel like it just yet. Now, obviously, they're setting up that at the end of this volume, Sasuke chases Gaara off because obviously the Sand siblings retreat, and Sasuke's in pursuit of them, and the fight still has to continue. But right now, it's just a little bit kind of okay. It could be better. The key aspect, as I said earlier on, that they get into here is that Sasuke has further established a lot of Lee's taijutsu into his own kind of fighting repertoire, and you see that that he kind of has mirrored some of his movements, and it's more than just copying them now. The training that he's done has been to actually build up his body so that he can actually perform those techniques himself. Like, no longer is it the case where Sasuke can see what Lee is doing, but his body can't keep up with it. His body now can keep up with that, and that combined with his Sharingan makes him extremely powerful. And Lee kind of, at this moment, notices that he has got to my level by himself, and he has the Sharingan that he has very much surpassed me. And this is where the fight kind of becomes a little similar to the beginnings of the Rock Lee fight with Gaara, because it's effectively Sasuke using Lee's techniques to again overwhelm Gaara temporarily with his speed and taijutsu skills, and Gaara is forced to use the sand armor rather than just the blocking it with the kind of sand acting on its own. Sasuke gets a few hits in, and it kind of just forces Gaara into use an even kind of stronger defensive move, that being the full-on ball of sand around him. And the little subplot as well, like I just realized it here, of immediately after Naruto and Shikamaru come into contact with Gaara, and then Naruto's immediate reaction is, oh, I'm going to tell Kakashi to call off the match because Gaara is threatening to kill people. It's a bit like, okay, I get your concern, Naruto, but really? Like, I think everyone knows what way Gaara is after the match with Lee, that Sasuke knows how dangerous it is. And I get that Naruto obviously, I think, better understands Gaara than anyone else, because like Gaara is Naruto if he took a darker path, I suppose. But it's one of those things where I'm just like, Sasuke really well, Naruto. He wouldn't want you to end this match, even if his life was at risk. You know that's the type of character he is. So it's a little weird one. They really get past it quite quickly, and that Kakashi's just like, yep, no, I'm not going to do that. Don't worry about it. There's a reason we arrived late. Sasuke has a new technique, and the reveal here is that in addition to the taijutsu training, Sasuke has also learned the lightning blade effectively, but we get more of an explanation for what the technique is, and that it's actually called Chidori, 1,000 birds, or just Chidori. That's the actual name of the technique. For Kakashi, they call it lightning blade because he once used the technique to slice a lightning bolt in half, and that's why his is kind of separated as different, because it is a kind of a more advanced, more experienced version of the technique. And it is really cool actually the way he uses the technique. He kind of is standing on the wall, so he's like perpendicular to the ground, and he just like sprints down the wall. They established that part of the taijutsu training was, yes, to get Sasuke better at taijutsu, but also it's because Sasuke being quicker and stronger allows him to use Chidori more effectively, and especially with the Sharingan in play, it allows him to do the technique really well. Like, it's an assassination technique, we get revealed to us, that The idea is that you are so quick, the strike is so powerful that it's like impossible to defend against. It's just such a powerful attack. And the reason you kind of need the Sharingan to do it is because you are putting yourself so at risk just charging straight at someone and just doing such a powerful kind of lunging blow attack that only people with the Sharingan can actually have reaction times good enough to actually dodge any like last minute counter attack. And the main thing we get here is that, you know, it transforms into a lightning blade that can cut anything. He goes straight through Gaara's sand shield, and Gaara is injured, but from the hole that Sasuke has made, this creepy kind of arm thing comes out that is in no way like the Gaara we know. And the obvious reference is back to what happened with Dosu and the fact that when that happened, the moon was out, and Gaara said that it gets more powerful when the moon's out, and then this huge shadow kind of came over Gaara and he killed Dosu, but we didn't see really what it was. And here we get this kind of better idea that, you know, it's something very similar to Naruto. Of course, Gaara has explained to Naruto about Shikaku, the beast inside him, but this is our first time really seeing it, and a lot of people are kind of realizing potentially some of the similarities, though we don't get the idea that it's a tailed beast, obviously, just yet. And obviously with Gaara temporarily injured, it's not like super serious because the sand wall took most of the blow, but Gaara is, you know, like has a kind of big kind of hole kind of in his shoulder kind of thing. And at this point the operation commences. Kabuto activates his kind of jutsu and knocks out a lot of the just civilians and people around with genjutsu, and the operation, you know, Konoha Crush commences basically. And we see immediately the key aspects of this are that the Kazekage takes the Hokage captured. Kabuto is obviously one of the key people in the audience, part of this, and then the Sand siblings and a lot of the Sand people around also jump into action to kind of take things out. And then the other key bit is that in the city, Orochimaru's summoning snake arrives and attacks, and we just get like cuts to all around Konoha, a lot of ninjas getting killed, the Hokage getting captured, the arrival of the Sound Ninja 4, though we don't get their names just yet. They're just, you know, 4, you know, unique looking characters who arrive. They surround the Kazekage and the Hokage and do this jutsu called Ninja Art Shishenjin 4 Flames formation, and they form this kind of flaming barrier, rectangular barrier around the roof of this giant building basically, and they've basically trapped the two of them in together. And yeah, that's when we get the idea that the Kazekage says, you know, old age has made you feeble-minded, Master Sarutobi, so Sarutobi Sensei. So immediately they're just like, oh wait, they mentioned kind of offhandedly before that Orochimaru was Sarutobi's student at one point, so you're kind of thinking, wait, how is this the case? This is the Kazekage, that doesn't look like Orochimaru, but then you realize, wait, Orochimaru has put people's faces on before, like what's going on here? But before we get the full reveal of that, Baki, obviously they're the Sand siblings, Jonin is kind of saying, okay, look, we're calling it off for now. Gaara's injured. You two, Kankuro and Tamari, take Gaara off and retreat for now. I'll fight now, and then you kind of join the battle later on. Baki is then confronted by Genma. We don't see their fight, but he basically says, look, I'm taking charge here. Sasuke, you're strong enough, you're basically Chunin level. You pursue Gaara. If you really are a leaf shinobi, chase him. And this is when we do get the reveal of Orochimaru is behind the Kazekage. And this is a big reveal. They don't get into it just yet, but the idea here is, of course, that the Sand are allied with this Sound because in their minds they're agreeing with the Kazekage about the fact that they feel that the Sand feudal lord was wrong with signing any sort of a peace deal with the Leaf, because going into this they're effectively allies. That's why they're kind of the two main nations involved in these Chunin exams. And this kind of presents the idea now that, okay, so the Kazekage was actually Orochimaru, who had reason to go against the Leaf Village. So the Kazekage wasn't actually supporting this idea from a few people within the Sand Village that they wanted to break the treaty with the Leaf. So it kind of presents this idea that the Sand aren't like fully kind of behind this. They were going to support their Kazekage, but now it's revealed that the Kazekage was actually Orochimaru, which presents the idea of, obviously, like, where is Gaara's father? Where are the Sand siblings' father, the real Kazekage? And was he in any way involved in all of this? And we don't get that revealed just yet. Just that Orochimaru wants to, obviously, kill the third Hokage, and definitely more and more taunting about his age, which we got, I think, in the last volume, a lot of little references to the fact that, you know, the third Hokage talking about all of the people in the village are precious to me as the Hokage, that's my thing. Constant references to his age and saying, you know, like, he was the best shinobi of all time, and him realizing that perhaps his time is up. The next chapter does start off with Ibiki informing some of the more kind of junior ninja about what happened with Orochimaru. That he put his name down as to be a candidate for the fourth Hokage position, but obviously Minato was chosen instead. And soon after that, he ran from the village, and he's just simply setting up here that Orochimaru has probably resented Lord Third ever since, because effectively the third Hokage more kind of endorsed Minato to be the next Hokage over Orochimaru, his own student. So there's more setup for just that. This relationship, Orochimaru and Sarutobi, they're going to get into this a lot kind of going forward. After that, we just get Guy and Kakashi fighting kind of back to back, side by side, seeing how well they work together. Kind of really nicely done. Orochimaru being creepy, you know, he stabs his own hand just to kind of prove himself, kind of thing. And from there, Sakura is given a mission by Kakashi. He says it's an A-rank mission. He tasks Sakura with basically, okay, you're good with genjutsu. Release the genjutsu on Naruto and Shikamaru, and then you go after Sasuke and kind of like back him up. This is a really important mission. We have to make sure that kind of we defeat the Sand and like no one leaves. You know, this is really important. So she goes over. Naruto has actually been hit with the jutsu, but Shikamaru had actually done it himself and was actually just kind of playing like he was under the genjutsu, so he didn't have to do anything. And Kakashi has also sent his summoning animal, the main one of his ninja dogs, Pakun, with him, which is I think the first time we get Pakun's name, so that's interesting. And yeah, she just calls him little doggy, but he's like, no, I'm more experienced than you are, let's get going. But yeah, you know, the Kakashi further reveals that he wants them to go after Sasuke to stop him from going overboard and potentially getting himself hurt, pushing too hard to make sure he goes after, you know, Gaara. And then we basically just end with this idea that, okay, fight in the barrier, this unbreakable barrier that the four Sound Ninja are keeping up. Fight between Orochimaru and the third Hokage, because he takes off his kind of formal Hokage gear to reveal his kind of battle gear underneath. And this is a big fight coming up. You know, we know now that Orochimaru is one of the legendary 3 Sannin from the Leaf Village, so he's a legendary. And we know that basically it was set up that in his prime, the third Hokage was the most powerful Kage, and he was just on this such incredibly high level in terms of being like a master ninja. So this is set up to be an amazing fight that, you know, there's a lot of history here that we don't know the full extent of just yet. And we just get a brief glimpse of what the fight is like, because they both use one jutsu before we kind of end the volume. Sarutobi uses a shuriken shadow clone technique and basically throws just a couple of shuriken, but he clones them, obviously to make his attack even more powerful. Whereas Orochimaru uses the summoning technique. What do they actually call it here? It's a reanimation jutsu. Let's see. Kuchiyose Edo Tensei Summoning Reanimation. So yeah, more or less basically what it is, reanimation jutsu. It is a form of summoning jutsu, and he summons one, he summons a two, and Sarutobi's like, oh, I can't let him summon the third. I have to stop him, and he fires enough shuriken, just enough to stop the third one from being summoned. But Orochimaru's happy just that he summoned the first two. And this is the big cliffhanger that we end on. These two coffins rise out of the ground. They have like the kind of symbols for 1 and 2 on them. They open up, and Sarutobi's like, I may have somehow stopped the third, but even so, this is going to be difficult. I can't believe he would summon those two of all people. So it's a big reveal that, summoning jutsu, reanimation, he is summoning two dead people, you assume, back to life. And who are they? Why was he so eager to stop the third one from being summoned? You can sort of figure it out just by the numbers and stuff like that, but it's not obvious until it really properly comes into play. But it's really interesting when it happens. Won't spoil it just in case you don't know, but it's a really good cliffhanger actually for the volume. I can just imagine the reaction if you were reading this week to week, and this was the kind of cliffhanger chapter, wondering what's going on here. But yeah, that's basically the volume. I think it's it's good in that like there are a lot of nice character moments, little Sakura moments, Lee coming back into things and realizing kind of how far he is behind, and that it's going to make him all the more eager to really recover, and how that's going to happen. In that, like, we've basically said by really strong medical ninja that he won't recover, so something's going to happen there. They're keeping him a focus for a reason. Sasuke going off on his own after Gaara, that's pretty big. Gaara has his brother and sister with him, and then Sakura, Naruto, and Shikamaru are pursuing Sasuke. So we're setting up that, okay, a lot of the younger characters are going off on their own. The older characters like Guy, Kakashi, they're staying in the village to defend it from the Sand attack. And of course, just the big plot point that the big attack that's been set up the last couple of volumes, the Sand and Sound working together to defeat the Leaf, is finally happening. And the big battle is obviously Orochimaru versus Hiruzen Sarutobi, third Hokage versus his old student. And I think it's fairly obvious that something's going to happen to the third Hokage. That it's very much been set up just with all the foreshadowing about Sarutobi's age. He was the best shinobi. He's maybe not in his prime anymore, but he is confident that he can defeat Orochimaru here. But obviously Orochimaru has this really tricky jutsu that we're going to see. But yeah, the only I think letdown was that I don't think the first part of the Sasuke Gaara fight was that great, all in all, just because it was so similar to the Gaara fight except for the Chidori reveal, which was cool. But I suppose the main thing was just Sasuke's back. It's nice to have him back. He was gone for a while, and you kind of do miss him a little bit after a while. And then final bit I want to talk about was I actually really liked the part with Shikamaru at the beginning, just them establishing that, okay, you may have quit, but him making such a kind of thought out decision to realize that, look, I'm completely out of energy, I can't actually finish this. A lot of people respect him for that and see leadership qualities in him making that decision. So in terms of my awards for the volume, I guess my favorite line would probably be from Asuma. It's a kind of big kind of dialogue that he says, like, it's disappointing that he doesn't seem eager to fight, but you could say that's because he has the ability to coolly analyze any and all situations, because he is thoroughly aware of his own knowledge and skills. He doesn't panic or become hot-headed in the midst of battle, and that is how he finds himself in the and that is how, even if he finds himself in the worst fix, he can calmly retreat. I suspect in terms of psychological profiles deemed essential in Chunin, Shikamaru's got the most important one, the disposition of a leader. Just really establishing right now Shikamaru is a very important character, which is really interesting because Ino, of all the characters in his team, up until like last volume, had been set up to be the most important member of the team, and now Shikamaru is suddenly jumping to the front. Um, if I was to choose my favorite art image, I think ultimately I'd go for either the one I mentioned before of Sasuke and Kakashi arriving, or else this one of Rock Lee here, and his just jealousy, but also just kind of like happiness, but that he is jealous despite the success of his kind of friends. My favorite character in the volume is a little bit more difficult. I kind of want to give it to Shikamaru, but again, that's only like the first chapter, really. Sasuke, apart from revealing his powers, I don't think was anything impressive. Gara, I think we'd got a lot of the important stuff that they talked about here before. Um, so I almost want to say like Hiruzen Sarutobi, just because it was really cool to start to see him like be prepared for battle and being awesome. But that even that hasn't happened just yet. And then they touch on a little bit with Rock Lee. So I think it's a difficult one. I'm gonna go for Shikamaru just because I felt like what they said about him in the opening chapter of this was so important for him being like a really strong and important character going forward. So Shikamaru, my favorite character from this volume, just about. It was a kind of very kind of like getting to the next part kind of volume. But yeah, hopefully I will get the next volume out quicker than I did, the gap between last one and this one. But yeah, other than that, that has been the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the volume and the review. Thanks for watching this video, and bye.